Good afternoon, I'm Maddison Gibson with 2NURFM Hunter News. Hunter members of the Nurses and Midwives Association are holding a Stop Work rally today. Staff at the Stockton Centre have walked off the job to protest against the state government's plans to privatise the disability services sector. Wayne Baxter from the New South Wales Nurses and Midwives Association says members are upset with not being given a choice.
They're cutting by removing the state's biggest, most experienced disability service provider. They're just walking away from the service delivery. So our members are up in arms around this by not being given a real choice in relation to transfer payment and redundancies. No redundancies are on the table. They've just been offered an 8-week payment and transfer conditions for 2 years.
A sand mine is planned to be built in the middle of the contaminated zone at Williamtown and will go on exhibition just before Christmas. The mine was approved by Port Stephens Council, being led by the Department of Planning. Port Stephens MP Kate Washington says it's the residents who are most affected.
The residents are devastated. All of the residents that will be impacted by the sand mine are exactly those residents who are currently being impacted by the effects of the contamination, and trying to work out exactly what all of that means for them. It's devastating for all of the families that are affected.
3/4 of respondents to a survey on revitalising Newcastle have favoured plans which would see the city developed as a harbour entertainment city, while over 80% also favoured linking the harbour to the civic precinct and revitalising Hunter Street. The results released by Urban Growth New South Wales and Newcastle City Council today are part of the preliminary reports from the Revitalising Newcastle program. The full report is expected to be released to the public next week. Muswellbrook Council has set aside $10 million to set up an economic development corporation to help the Upper Hunter after the mining boom. If successful, the plan is expected to create up to 1,500 new jobs in the region after the Drayton South mine extension was advised not to be approved. Muswellbrook Mayor Martin Rush says the state government needs to get involved.
The state government has an ethical responsibility, in my view, to be involved in this. It's enjoyed, after all, taking enormous amounts of royalties from the Upper Hunter every year for the past 100 or so years, and those royalties have been almost $1 billion at times.
The Rural Fire Service is planning to conduct hazard reduction burns in bushland around Newport Road in Kurrambong across the day. The RFS asks motorists to slow down in the area due to smoke and warns residents to close doors and windows.
Sport, thanks to our sponsor, Warners Bay Sports Club.
Newcastle Jets keeper Mark Birighitti will match up against Sydney FC for the first time since striker Shane Smeltz left him with teeth dislodged and requiring 48 stitches in round 2. However, coach Scott Miller expects Birighitti's improved form and determination to be the focus, rather than previous incidents.
It's about individual maturity with it, and it's in the past. And not only has Mark moved on from it, his performances have improved since then as well, and he's become more commanding in his area and become more of a leader as well. So he's enjoying his football. It won't play any factor in terms of our motivation. It can't.
Cardiff Bullaroos Daniel McLaughlin's return to cricket could end as quickly as it started, with his suspension for abusing an umpire being appealed by the District's Cricket Umpires Association. The Umpires Association is appealing for a longer suspension after McLaughlin abused 2 umpires against Stockton in round 3. Former Newcastle Hunters product Ben Simmons is still in contention to be a top NBA draft pick next year, despite his LSU Tigers losing their past 3 matches and dropping to 11th in their 14-squad conference. And Newcastle's own Sam Bates will join Maitland's Maisie Gibson in forming part of the Sydney Thunder squad, facing rivals the Sydney Sixers on Sunday in the inaugural Women's Big Bash League. That's sport. I'm Gary Lysaght.
2NURFM news time is 12:10.
Hi.